Imagine swallowing your dinner tonight, only for it to come back into your mouth hours later. No nausea, no vomiting, just undigested food. Do you know what condition could cause that? Hey guys, and welcome back to How to Gastro, Medical Lectures Made Easy, presented by me, Dr. Ishvani Govender. And in today's video, we'll be doing a deep dive into Zenker's Diverticulum. So let's get started. So what is Zenker's Diverticulum? Zenker's diverticulum is a false or pseudo-diverticulum that forms when the mucosa and submucosa protrude through Killian's dehiscence, which is a weak area above the esophagus. So if we pause there for a second and take a look at this picture on the bottom of our screen, we see where Killian's dehiscence actually is. And this is actually the weak area which is situated just above the esophagus. So this is the posterior view, and then this is the lateral view. So if we see here, that's where the diverticulum actually develops. So a diverticulum is an abnormal sac that forms in the body. So Zenker's diverticulum in particular is known as a pseudo-diverticulum because it doesn't contain all the layers of the esophageal wall. So it only contains the mucosal and submucosal layers, which are the innermost two layers. It doesn't have the muscularis layer and the adventitia. So Zenker's diverticulum occurs because the cricopharyngeal muscle does not relax properly during swallowing, causing increased pressure that pushes the lining outwards. So this is the cricopharyngeus muscle, and this is the muscle in question that does not relax properly, causing increased pressure during that swallowing process. And this increase in pressure actually pushes out those first two layers of the esophagus. And there we have the formation of a diverticulum. So this is what Zenker's diverticulum actually is. Epidemiology. So Zenker's diverticulum is a rare condition with an annual incidence of approximately 2 per 100,000 people. So it's quite a rare disease. It predominantly affects older adults, usually individuals over 70 years of age, and it is more common in men than in women, with a male to female ratio of approximately 3:1. So the disease is most commonly found in males over the age of 70, and it is most frequently seen in parts of Europe and North America. So what are the signs and symptoms of Zenker's diverticulum? So dysphagia, or a difficulty in swallowing, is one of the most commonly reported symptoms in Zenker's diverticulum. And this is a sense of a lump in the throat and occurs in almost 90% of patients. So if we pause there for a second and take a look at this picture up here on the top right corner, we see what happens. Remember, food is coming down, trying to make its way into the esophagus. But if this pouch is full of food that's actually collecting in this area and rotting, it's also pushing down on the lumen of the esophagus, making this channel quite narrow and also difficult for food to pass through. So that is where the difficulty in swallowing, or the dysphagia, actually comes in. And this actually occurs in 90% of patients. So the second most common sign is actually the food that gets trapped in the pouch. So as we see here, this is the food collection that's occurring here. And this is quite a nasty process because this food will actually rot over time and then go on to cause even more disturbing signs and symptoms for this patient. So the first thing that can occur is regurgitation. So the reappearance of ingested food in the mouth. So food that is taken in will get trapped here, and if the patient coughs, for example, that food actually makes its way back up into the mouth of the patient. And this is food that is semi-digested or even began its rotting process. So it's not a very pleasant process for the patient. And then we can also have coughing. So when the patient does cough, food can be regurgitated into the airway, which is the trachea, because the trachea is situated right here. And this can lead to a recurrent aspiration pneumonia. So remember, pneumonia is the inflammation of the lung tissue. So because this food is rotting here and it's full of microorganisms, that food making its way into the trachea will cause severe havoc to the lung tissue. And this is one of the most common problems in Zenker's diverticulum, is this aspiration pneumonia. And then we will have halitosis, which is smelly breath, because this stagnant food is digested by microorganisms and will rot and cause quite a foul smell. So these patients will also experience very bad breath. So we also mentioned that recurrent aspiration pneumonia, which is the infection of the lung tissue. These patients will also feel a sensation of food sticking in their throat, and they will have unexplained weight loss. So just to sort of cement this in your memory, remember, food may accumulate within the diverticulum, leading to bacterial overgrowth and halitosis or smelly breath, and this will cause a high risk of aspiration pneumonia, which means the bacterial content making its way into the trachea and into the lungs, causing the inflammation of the lung tissue. So what are the complications of Zenker's diverticulum? As we mentioned in the past two slides, aspiration pneumonia is the most important and common serious complication. And other rare complications include bleeding of this diverticulum and also the formation of a fistula. So a fistula is actually a channel that forms between the diverticulum and the trachea, for example. So it can cause a channel right through here. And as you can imagine, that will cause serious havoc and expedite the recurrent pneumonias or pulmonary aspirations. So that's quite a serious complication indeed. So how is a Zenker's diverticulum diagnosed? So we can do a diagnosis by barium swallow. So a barium swallow is the investigation of choice here and usually demonstrates the diverticulum. So barium sulfate is a metallic compound that shows up on X-rays and is used to help see abnormalities in the esophagus and the stomach. So when taking the test, the patient drinks a preparation containing the solution, and the X-rays will track its path of the solution through the digestive system. So as we can see to the right of our screen, we see the radiographer ensuring the patient is comfortable and that they are in the correct position for the X-ray machine. We see the monitor, we see the patient drinking the barium solution, we see the X-ray machine and the X-ray table and the patient. And in the next slide, we'll be able to see what these barium swallow X-rays look like. So the normal esophagus is quite a straight and tubular organ. But then we see in Zenker's diverticulum, we have the contrast which has made its way into the diverticulum or the pouch, and it is collected there. So this is a smaller diverticulum. And then here we see how large this diverticulum is actually developed. And we also see the narrowing of that esophagus. So you can imagine here the patient's discomfort or dysphagia and their difficulty in swallowing will be much more intense. And this is why patients actually lose weight, because of that difficulty in swallowing. So Zenker's diverticulum can also be diagnosed by endoscopy. So an upper GI endoscopy is generally not the initial investigation because inadvertent entry into the diverticulum may result in perforation. So if you remember in the complications, we said that sometimes these diverticulum can bleed. And that is because, remember, they are only made up of two layers, the mucosa and submucosa. So they have quite a thin wall which can be easily perforated. And for this reason, an upper GI endoscopy is generally not the initial investigation. Usually we will proceed with the barium swallow first, and then if we require treatment by use of the endoscopy, because endoscopies can also be used as treatment plans, because the endoscopy itself contains staples and little arms that can cut, can splice and slice. And for this reason, it can be used as part of the treatment, but is not usually used in the diagnostic process. And if you see here, these pictures are quite graphic. So we see the food collecting here and then the food actually rotting because it actually sits there for quite a while. So diagnosis can also be done by computer tomography. So a Zenker's diverticulum on a CT scan appears as a structure arising posteriorly from the hypopharynx and is filled with gas, fluid, oral contrast material, or a mixture of all these three. So CT is not routinely required, but may be useful when complications or alternative diagnosis are suspected. And as we can see here, this is what the diverticulum looks like on a CT. So how are Zenker's diverticulum treated? So if they are small and asymptomatic, no treatment is necessary. But if they do cause some alarming signs and symptoms for these patients, we can use option 1, surgical treatment. So here we have endoscopic repair of the Zenker's diverticulum. So we see the endoscope is introduced to the portion where the diverticulum is present. And what actually happens is this wall or the septum between the diverticulum and the esophagus is actually cut and divided, creating a common channel, as we see here, that allows food to pass more easily. So cutting the septum also divides the cricopharyngeal muscle, reducing pressure and improving the swallowing or the dysphagia of these patients. So what happens here is the endoscope is introduced and we actually cut or slice the septum, and it provides one large channel for more food to actually flow freely. And then surgical option 2 is the endoscopic staple diverticulectomy with or without a myotomy. So a diverticulectomy means the removal of the diverticulum, and this can be done with or without a myotomy. So the myotomy is basically the cutting of the muscle. So here we have the endoscopic staple diverticulectomy with the myotomy. We see this muscle is actually cut and the muscle is introduced here to close the defect. So this is actually stapled close with the muscle forming over that section. And then we have endoscopic staple diverticulectomy without the myotomy. So here the muscle stays intact and we just sort of grab the two portions left of the walls of the diverticulum and they are stapled together. So this is the endoscopic staple diverticulectomy with or without a myotomy. And so the take-home message. So a Zenker's diverticulum is a false or pseudo diverticulum because remember it only contains 2 layers of the esophageal wall. It occurs at Killian's dehiscence, which is that weak spot. Patients will present with dysphagia and regurgitation, a difficulty in swallowing, and the appearance of food that they've ingested back into their mouth. It can be diagnosed with a barium swallow, and most Zenker's diverticula are treated with endoscopic surgery methods. And that brings us to the end of this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you found the presentation very interesting and informative. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and to share this video with someone you think may benefit from it. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.